including Kareem Hossam, US Open 2011 junior quarterfinalist. He's currently touring the European circuit with top Egyptian juniors. So it's our great pleasure to introduce Khaled Farouk.
Our topic today is going to be about what really separates world-class performance from everybody else. Is it hard work? They work harder than us? Is it a gift? They're born with it? Either we have it or we don't have it? Or maybe it's a bit of both. So if we agree that it's hard work and talent, this is true, but it's like saying that cookies come from sugar, flour, and butter. It's true. It's true enough, but not sufficiently detailed to be useful. We need the exact recipe. Because better understanding of great performance is not only to make world-class professionals, but as Miguel said, it's going to help millions of tennis players to be happy. So we're trying to see what recent research is about unlocking the talent code and why some people make it and others doesn't reach that level. The factor that seems to explain the most about great performance is something the researchers call deliberate practice. Exactly what that is and isn't turns out to be extremely important. It just definitely isn't what most of us do on our job every day, and that begins to explain the great mystery of why we're surrounded by so many people who have worked hard but have never made it to greatness. These are the criteria of deliberate practice. The first one is specifically designed, which implies that it has a designer, which is the coach. And these are the three concentric circles of learning. You should always aim for the green part, which is the learning zone. Those are the skills that just outside your reach. You can only improve by working on them, because the comfort zone are the skills that you already mastered, and the panic zones are the extremely outside your reach. Then it has to be repeated a lot. And the third factor of deliberate practice is continuous feedback. Because without feedback, it's like bowling through a curtain. You'll never know what's going to happen. If you keep doing this for a while, you won't get any better, and you'll stop caring. The fourth thing is it's highly demanding mentally. Because above all, it's an effort to focus and concentration. That's what makes it deliberate. As distinct from the mindless hitting of tennis balls. And always the chief constraint for deliberate practice is going to be mental. The limit that's going to stop our players from practicing is going to be mental, never more than physical exposure. The fifth factor is it's not much fun. And it's highly subjective because it depends on your definition of fun. Because if you're doing something that you already mastered and you're doing it over and over again, it's fun. But if you're stretching yourself to something that outside your reach, it's not going to be much fun for some of the players. This slide summarizes the whole idea of deliberate practice. It has to be designed with the coach's help, repeated a lot, feedback continuously available, mentally demanding, it's not much fun. Okay, but how does deliberate practice work? How does it change persons to great performance? Having the following qualities, which are going to be summarized in this video of Nadal. It's actually moving, but it's 500 frames per second. In this video, you're going to see some of the criteria of great performers. It's like more than 15 times slower than normal speed. You're going to see how these persons, great performers, have some of the following criteria. They see more than us and they perceive more than us. Sometimes you can even say that they see the future. For example, watch, as soon as he finishes the follow-through, watch what he's going to do with his grip. watch the forward grip. It's going to switch the racket now in the middle of the service action. See? Even before finishing the action, he's ready for the next one. He's making very good use of the time between shots. Now he's going to expect that the reply is going to go to his backhand. He has his own timing. It's not like our timing. These things are happening very fast. Then he discovered that he even expected it better than it is. He's going to move back because the ball was not as good as he expected it. Now back to the criteria of great performance, which I've already seen. The first one is they see more and they perceive more than us. You can even say that they see the future. They make final discrimination than average performance. I was once in an under-10 tournament in Smrigda in Croatia, and one of the parents just asked the organizer for a restraining job for her son. And she asked a very accurate question when he asked her about the stringing tension. She asked him what type of balls are using, and we're talking about under 10. They make finer discrimination than average performers. They know more and they remember more. Good players, they remember tiny details that just pass by average performers. They have altered physical nature of their body. This is actually, I'm not talking about only muscles or heart changes, physical changes in their brains also. Which is, we're going to talk about it in detail right now. The term myelin is getting very popular right now, which is a protein in our body. I'm going to try to explain it in this very short time I have. First of all, every human movement or thought is a precisely timed electrical signal traveling through a circuit of nerve fibers. That's what happened actually when we try to do any action, any human action. Myelin, what about myelin? Is the insulation that traps those nerve fibers and increase signal strength, speed and accuracy. It's like an insulation for electric wires. When you have insulation, the intensity of the electric current is more and the speed is more. The more we fire a particular circuit, our brain understands that this circuit is really important for us, and it orders those cells to lay more myelin, lay more wrapping around the nerve fibers, and this in turn is going to increase the speed of transmission of action, which makes those persons faster than us. They are wired differently. It's not just training their body, it's already changed, and they have proven this. This photo, you can see the myelin layering. It's like wrapping around the nerve fibers. This one is an example of the learning circuit, which looks exactly similar to this. What happened during the deliberate practice is different, highly specific circuits light up in your mind like the Christmas tree. The input of this circuit is all the action that's going to happen before you perform the stroke. It's the decision making, the perception, what are you going to do, from where the point is coming, and then we process those information to give orders to the muscle to execute the shot. One of the common mistakes that some of us do is we just train the second half of this circuit, which is the execution. We don't train perception. And to gain improvement for your players, you have to train specifically the same circuit, not only one half of it. This is the cross-section of two nerve fibers. The above one is wrapped in myelin. Sometimes it's like 50 layers. The more you practice the same circuit, the more myelin is going to be wrapped around the fibers that comprise this circuit, which makes it very fast and very accurate. We are all familiar with the term muscle memory. But actually, when a coach uses the phrase muscle memory, he's actually talking about circuits. Because muscles by themselves are as useless as a puppet without strings. They don't control the thing. It's the surface that controls it. If the surface is going well, the muscles are going to be obedient and they're going to obey them. It's not the muscles. This is going to explain what happened when we try to play a simple action like sending the backhand down the line. What's the needed things that happen inside our brain, and how does it happen? Before performing a thing like this, different parts of the brain have to work in a split second to just perform this action. This part is responsible for making the 3D map. It's 3D. It has to figure out where I'm going to put the ball where in 3D dimensions. And this part receives impulses from the eye, this one from the ear, and this one is responsible for gathering all the information and then putting them in a plan of action. These are the electrical signals moving in the brain. And this one are the fibers we're talking about. This is the signal moving in them. And the more you fire the specific circuit, there are specific cells that are going to put those wrapping myelin, which is going to make those circuits very fast. These are the cells, these are the fibers, and this is the wrapping. This is interesting because this is not explaining how we play tennis. It's explaining all the human action. This is the brain of a child 4 years of age. And the blue color indicates myelin, other colors less myelin. You see, when you increase the age, you learn more. The more you have more circuits, myelinated circuits moving faster. And that's 22 years of age. That's 4, that's 22. This information is going to help us with our players when we know exactly how the learning process is working. These are some facts about myelin. It responds to actions, not wishes. It doesn't respond to dream. You have to really do the thing over and over again. Myelin doesn't care who you are. It cares what you do. It's the same wrapping that's happening for a surgeon, violinist, or a tennis player. The only difference is the specific type of circuits he's practicing. Which means that if you're just doing the close skill drills like feeding balls, playing cross court, it's not going to be much help in the matches. You have to train the specific circuit for the specific player. Another thing is myelin wraps, it does not unwrap. It works in one way. When a circuit is wrapped, it's very difficult to unwrap it only by age or disease, which explains the fact that we're facing when we're trying to break a bad habit with a player, because the circuit is already done. The only way to unlearn this is to build newer circuits and take the upper hand. Another thing is it's age dependent. It has bouts in young age, it increases, it reaches its maximum around 20 to 30, and then by late 50s it starts to decline. The process of great performance can be done without the talent whisperer. The talent whisperers are us, the coaches. Researchers have identified 4 virtues of master coaches. They call that the coaches who are producing great performers the master coaches. They noticed something common in all those coaches. They're a bit old because it needs some time to develop your matrix as a senior as an experienced coach, because you're not only teaching with your tennis experience, your playing ability, your sports sciences. You're using all of those, and it takes time to integrate all those into your coaching experience. Master coaches have perceptiveness. They're like inspectors, private eyes. They check their players and they see minute details. Average coaches, they don't see it. Another criteria of master coaches is like the GPS reflex. Their orders are like the GPS. Whoever have used the GPS, it's like turn right, turn left, destination reached. There's very small bouts of orders, very decisive, urgent. The 4th criteria is they have theatrical honesty. They use drama and character as their tools to reach their players. If we agree that the act of deliberate practice is difficult and it's not much fun, then what makes some people do it? Because it's not fun. What makes them do it? They need a spark, an ignition. Ignition and deliberate practice work together to produce skill, exactly the same way that the gas tank combines with an engine to produce velocity in a car. It's the fuel, it's the gas that makes you run it. It's the ignition. You have to have some spark. Sometimes it's a tennis match, a professional player watching, a word of encouragement from the coach. Growing skills require deliberate practice, but deliberate practice isn't a piece of cake. It requires energy, passion, and commitment. It requires sustained motivation or ignition. To summarize the whole process, the talent pool can be summarized like this. The middle, you have the deliberate practice with multiple layers. They call it layering because we start with the skill in your comfort zone, and after a while of doing the same skill, the same practice, the same drill, they are not in your the skills that were in your learning zone now are getting more comfortable. They are in your comfort zone now. You have to search for more difficult skills the coach have to stretch your limit. Otherwise, you're gonna be permanent. Practice sometimes makes permanent. They call it the experience trap. And it starts with the ignition, with the effective master coaching. It produces talent. But is it all? Is that all there is? Is it that simple? Because if it's that simple, we're going to produce millions of professional players. Deliberate practice does not fully explain achievement. Real life is too complicated for that. Most obviously, we're all affected by luck, time, and chance. Because sometimes you're lucky enough to meet someone as a good coach. You're lucky enough to be born in a country with a very good environment, very good environment for producing tennis players. Sometimes you're unlucky. Personal circumstances, especially in childhood, can powerfully affect his opportunities to engage in deliberate practice. Because as we know, that deliberate practice only its peak is in young age. If you're not lucky enough to be exposed to proper practicing when you're young, it's very difficult to do this when you're old. Because theoretically, it's like the 10,000 hour rule. You can do it when you're 18, maybe. But at 18, you have many other responsibilities in life. You can't start working on a new skill when you're 15 or 16. You have to start very early, when the marine is active and the laying of marine is very fast, and when you have time to do this new skills. I know it's a bit complicated and it's a new theory, and I have very short time to explain it, but I'm willing to explain more after this session for anyone who's interested. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Khaled. That's visually stimulating and informative presentation. Hopefully the audience have come away with a recipe on how to discover the talent code of their players. Thank you. And on behalf of the ITF, we have a small gift for you. Thank you once again. A big hand for Khaled. And we will not be doing any question and answer at the moment because we are running a bit late and we're into the tea break. So the presenters are here during tea break, so if you have any questions, you can hit them up then.